Welcome back to The Explainer. So today we're unpacking a really fascinating philosophical framework. It's from a writer named Zhu Feng in a text called A Celestial Always Dwells in Contentment. Look, if you've ever felt totally crushed by modern hustle culture, that endless, exhausting pressure to always achieve more, earn more, just be more, well, this text offers a completely radical alternative. It sets up this incredible conflict between the burnout of our everyday ambition-driven lives and a totally different state of spiritual well-being. Zhu Feng calls this alternative the way of the celestial. We're going to break down exactly what that means straight from the source.
Okay, let's dive into this with a question directly from the text, and it's one that really just stops you in your tracks. When will it ever be enough? It's a huge rhetorical dilemma, right? I mean, we spend our entire lives striving, but what's the actual end goal? Zhu Feng uses this exact question to pull us away from our normal assumptions about success, plunging us straight into the core philosophical problem of modern existence.
So, Section 1, the trap of human desire. Let's get into it.
The text draws a very clear, uncompromising line between an ordinary human and a celestial. According to Zhu Feng, ordinary humans are basically defined by their total lack of satisfaction. They're, quote, forever striving after desires, grieving over poverty and low status. It's a life of running around in endless toil, constantly looking over the fence, always comparing. And to illustrate this trap, the text describes this frantic treadmill of human desire. It starts off pretty simple. Say you want 10,000. You work, you hustle, and you finally get that 10,000.
But literally, the second that 10,000 hits your hand, your mind shifts. The craving jumps instantly. 10,000? Not enough anymore. Now you absolutely must have 100,000. The finish line just vanished and moved further away. And you know it doesn't stop there. You hustle harder, you secure that 100,000, and bam, instantly your mind is dreaming of 1,000,000. The text makes this super sharp point. The very moment you begin to pursue something, affliction arises. The second you feel discontent, unease just naturally follows.
And hey, it's not just about the money. The text gives us these incredibly relatable examples. Like, you get a raincoat just to stay dry, but then you look around and decide, you know what, I want an umbrella instead. You finally secure a nice, comfortable house, but almost immediately, you catch yourself dreaming of a palace. You sit down to a feast, but your eyes are already wandering the table for something better. You get a wife, you desire a mistress. It's just a constant, exhausting shifting of the goalposts.
And this brilliantly illustrates a vivid metaphor straight from the source. It says, the human heart knows no bounds, like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. Because of this endless craving, this almost biological inability to just be satisfied, Zhu Feng argues that humans live mired in worry, suffering, and misfortune. The pursuit itself is the trap.
All right, Section 2, the celestial mindset.
So if human ambition is this massive trap, what's the way out? We're transitioning now to the text's proposed solution. We're moving away from that frantic pace of human pursuit into something totally different, the path to immortality through the mindset of a celestial. Let's look at how they compare. On the human side, we're always chasing, always comparing, totally afflicted by desire. But in direct contrast, the celestial always dwells in contentment. The text describes the celestial as someone who adapts with ease, flows freely with fate, acts in harmony with their true nature, and just responds spontaneously to whatever happens. There's no force, no desperate grasping. They move completely unbound and totally at ease.
Now, Zhu Feng emphasizes that you absolutely cannot have the best of both worlds. The text puts it like this: wings will not grow on a tiger's back. Basically, you have to choose your nature. To drive this home, the author asks us to imagine a couple running a small, successful grocery store. They earn plenty for a full, happy life. Now, the human instinct is to expand, right? Build a chain, hire armies of staff, stir up a whole frenzy of envy among the neighbors. But the celestial instinct? That's recognizing that living simply is true happiness. Why on earth would you ruin a perfectly peaceful life with all that unnecessary noise?
Which brings us to Section 3, Inside the Second Home.
Okay, so this isn't just some abstract philosophy. Zhu Feng zooms out to explain how this is tangibly applied in a real, idealized community setting known as Life Chan Yuan and its second home. How do these celestials actually live? Well, the text describes a place called the Fourth Branch. Zhu Feng paints a picture of a literal paradise for the Chanyuan celestials. Just listen to this setup. They live in this picturesque environment, they eat well, stay warm, live comfortably, and, get this, they sleep until waking naturally. No alarms, there are no managers, zero supervision, no burdens weighing on their hearts at all. The text literally states the worldly attachments have been washed away, so they only need to act naturally and just flow with life.
So the crucial point is how a community like this actually functions without, totally collapsing into chaos. The text outlines a very clear division of labor. On one side, you have the guide, a role Feng actually claims for himself. The guide handles the macro-level stuff, global expansion, establishing 256 branch communities, and following the grand plan of the Tao, or the greatest creator. On the flip side, the Chanyuan Celestial has literally only one task, and that is to become a Celestial. That's it. They are completely freed from the burden of managing outcomes.
Even the guide himself claims total detachment from outcomes. In fact, Feng reveals that a previous article he wrote, claiming the second home faces disaster, was really just a PR strategy, a test of the Celestial's spiritual depth. He drops this memorable rhetorical question: why should the eunuch be anxious while the emperor is calm? He's explaining that everything is already written in the plan of the greatest creator. Even if the entire second home were to just disappear overnight, he wouldn't panic, because all things unfold exactly as they should within the Tao.
Section 4. Embracing the natural flow.
Having stripped away all that worldly ambition and the anxiety of outcomes, the text guides us into this beautifully grounded realm of deep nature and time. It really challenges our modern obsession with metrics and being popular. Life here is deliberate, it's calm. Feng points out that the community's websites are doing just fine, so why hustle so hard to boost traffic? Now, what's really interesting about this idea is the metaphor he uses. An orchid blooming in a remote valley does not wither out of shame simply because no one admires it. He's arguing that if you're truly cultivating immortality, it's actually better, more tranquil, if the world never even knew you existed.
The text sets up a very strict, uncompromising dichotomy here in partially categorizing human drives. Those who are ambitious and overindulgent, well, they belong to what Feng calls the camp of demons. In stark contrast, those who are tranquil and natural belong to the realm of the greatest creator. To cultivate true virtue, the text says you need a mindset of wood and stone. To manage affairs, you need the spirit of drifting clouds and flowing water. Even the slightest hint of vanity or attachment leads you straight back to danger.
So instead of ambition, the Celestials just fill their days with these cost-free, simple joys. The text quite literally advises, do not trouble yourself over nothing. When you have free time, watch the birds fly in the blue sky. Watch the flowers and grasses dancing in the breeze. Listen to the roosters and the dogs. Watch brightly colored fish swimming freely. And surprisingly, the text takes this really lighthearted turn. It notes that because the male and female Celestials are handsome, witty, beautiful, and graceful, they should absolutely enjoy playful romance and flirtation in their spare time.
Which brings us to the core thesis of this explainer. The text summarizes its entire philosophy with this beautiful poetic thought: an inch of time, an inch of gold. The path to immortality flows through the passage of time. Through wind and frost, through sunshine and mist, a Celestial is always in contentment. The ultimate message here is that true well-being doesn't require endless hustle. It just requires that we stop pursuing, embrace the passage of time, and finally start flowing with nature.
I want to leave you with this final, poignant question from the text. Sitting atop a mountain of gold, why not hurry to attain immortality? Feng is suggesting that we are all already sitting on a mountain of gold. The simple, everyday blessings of nature, of breath and community. But we ignore it because we're too busy chasing more. So as you look at your own life and the things you are constantly running after, ask yourself, are you already sitting on a mountain of gold without even realizing it? And if so, what would happen if you just stopped running? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.